What's up, guys? We're with World's Strongest Man, Mitchell Hooper here at the Orlando Fitspo World Strength Games. We got some questions for you, so let's do it.
Let's see what we got.
These are the questions from my followers to ask you. How does he take care of his joints?
Well, a lot of it's genetic, and when I ran, my knees were so sore that I had to stop, and that's what stopped me. Thankfully, I have big, robust joints that don't need a lot of care, but listening to your body is probably number one. And if something's breaking down, your knees are sore, your elbows are sore, then taking steps to take some load off, and it can be pretty simple. Your knees are sore, instead of high bar squatting, you can low bar squat. Very simple technical changes that can help. That's pretty simple, yeah.
What is your grip strength measured at?
Well, we measured it today. It's funny though, because grip strength is it's not just one thing, which it's not just a grip strength test. My grip, you wouldn't look at my grip and go, that's the grip of the world's strongest man. What was it, 179? Was my best, something like that?
I think if we no distractions and you were just did your full on best, I feel like you could hit more than 200 for sure.
It's pretty variable, but I don't know. It's a practicing as well. There's a technique to doing all that stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Why don't you compete in the country you represent?
That's a great question. So I've never competed in Canada. It's likely that I never will compete in Canada. And that's just that when you're a professional athlete, your body is your business. And you have to make business decisions around when you're going to put your body at risk. And at the moment in Canada, there's nothing that warrants putting my body on the line. For example, Canada's Strongest Man prize money is about 5% of that of other major shows. And to the point, it's actually quite a difficult, heavy show as well. So I couldn't forgive myself for injuring myself for so little return, especially when the title of Canada's Strongest Man, unfortunately, wouldn't really mean anything for me as the world's strongest man.
Right. What is your 40-meter sprint?
The last time I did it, I don't know 40 meter, but I know 40 yard. The last time I did it was after 2.4 Ks of 100-meter intervals when I was down in Florida, and I ran 5.1 in cross trainers on turf. So I would guess that fresh, ready to go, I'd be between 4.6 and 4.7.
Pretty fast. How to get bigger calves?
Be a dad, I guess. I don't know.
I want to have bigger calves.
It seems like an exposure thing, doesn't it? It's like the more you walk, I don't know. I think be a dad who works as a heavy diesel mechanic. I have no idea.
I want some calves. I guess I'll be a dad. Why did you decide to start strength training after being an endurance athlete?
Because the whole thing was about me relating to people who I was training myself. So I train people with injuries and chronic conditions, and that's my education. And so I thought I needed to relate to people to push aerobic training. And you have to do the same thing with strength training. So it was just my next endeavor, and as a competitive person, I wanted to find a sport where that was possible.
Do you pick up big dogs to make them feel like little babies?
I pick up all dogs, and that's not to make them feel any type of way, but that's to make me feel a type of way.
Like chihuahuas, just like this?
I think when you guys rocked up today, I was sitting on the floor petting a dog, yeah?
Do you have dogs, pets?
Yeah, I have a golden retriever and a standard schnauzer.
Oh, nice. How does it feel to go from not being known to being super famous?
I wouldn't necessarily call myself super famous, but being recognized in public is definitely a different pressure on how you behave. It's a different analysis of everything that comes out your mouth. And as someone who doesn't analyze much of what comes out of my mouth, that was a bit of a learning curve, because if you and I didn't know each other and I had no platform and I said, oh, your hair's a mess today, you'd probably pass that off as just, a stupid, jokey comment. But if my word actually means something to you, even if we've never met, and that's all I've ever said to you, that can have a pretty lasting impact on your opinion of yourself, your opinion of me. And it's sort of a responsibility that every interaction, that person wants you to make the most of it, so you have to do that as well.
Thanks to Animal Pack for sponsoring this video. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. So go check them out.
Can you pick that up?
I think it's 300 pounds. No warm up, let's go. So I've been with Animal for a few months now, and I've been really loving all their supplements, especially their performance chews. These chews have made taking my supplements effortless, and they're really delicious. Animal offers energy chews, creatine chews, and recovery and restore chews that require no water, no shaker, no mixing. Just pop them in and enjoy the fast-acting benefits. Check them out for yourself on animalpack.com, where you can also bundle and save up to 20%. Click the link in the description below to grab yours today. All right, new location. Hello, how you guys doing? Welcome back, Mitchell. I almost called you Michael. Mitchell Hoover here again. How you guys? How you doing?
I'm good.
I'm good. Okay, we're gonna ask you more questions.
Calm down.
I don't know. I tried to be like hype.
You had a buffet this morning.
I did have a buffet this morning. I had some chocolate muffins. Hey, we're gonna ask you more questions. Can I please have Eddie Hall's number?
But for Eddie Hall fans who want to froth in it, Eddie and I talk probably like 3 times a week right now. He's a mate of mine and a good businessman.
Being a former marathon runner, how has the change in body composition and size affected your lifestyle?
It's harder to do certain things, but in terms of day-to-day, it's not all that different. I've had to start wearing a CPAP, which I don't love. I'm hot a lot, so warmth is like, it kills me, so being in Florida is really tough.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not too bad. Planes are terrible, and otherwise my life is much the same. Obviously, your fitness changes a lot, so I couldn't go for a 5K run right now, but I think I've struck the balance pretty well, where I don't think I've gone overboard with body weight or composition or strength or anything. But it's certainly, I yearn to get back to a better body composition when I'm done competing.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, would you ever go back to marathon running?
Yeah, I want to go back to triathlons. Before I die, I want to run or complete an Ironman.
Oh, dude, I was thinking of doing that one day. I'd have to practice for that a lot.
All right, we'll race. We'll schedule a race for 2028.
Sure.
Ironman 2028.
Let's go, let's do it. Do you feel like you're challenging the norm compared to previous era of strongman champions?
Yeah, I think it's me and a couple of other guys. I think Alexei Novikov, Martins Lucis, they're not that different from me. And I think we're showing that we can match the static strength and be so much better in moving events. And I think it's turning it from a lot of strongman athletes who compete in strongman competitors who compete in strongman and are good strongmen to strongman athletes who can throw a lot of different stuff at us, and we're competent in a lot of different areas.
Why did you let Brian Shaw win?
No, I didn't let him win. I knew it was the last event. He was ahead a certain number of points. I knew what I had to do to beat him. I knew what he had to do to make it impossible for me to beat him, and he was en route to make it impossible for me to beat him, so there was no advantage to me continuing, and it was his last event ever, so it's more important just to give the moment than to earn a couple of meaningless points for me.
Yeah, I heard about the whole, he distributed more money to the other athletes as well.
Yeah, he gave his prize money back. He gave a chunk of it back to the amateur class, and he gave some back to the pro class as well, so yeah, very generous in that way.
You like him? He's cool?
Yeah.
That's cool.
He's one of my sponsors.
What are your thoughts on Brian Shaw retiring and your performance at the Shaw Classic?
Interesting being the end of an era, and I didn't have this big appreciation for strongman before I got in it, and I think a lot of people in the sport at my level do. So I sort of learned it backwards. And in the last show, Brian and I went head to head multiple times, and him and I were the two from the get-go who were in contention to win. And so it's, I don't know if he sees it as a passing of the torch at all, but it certainly felt as though that I could be in some small way a continuation from what he's done. And I think that's a pretty big honor and responsibility.
Congratulations on your baby. Any names for baby Hooper?
I don't know. We're running through a whole bunch. I think we're settling on a middle name. My wife's bridesmaids were Kate from Barrie, who you met, who's here, Kate from California, and Kate from Australia.
Oh, Kate's probably a good name.
Yeah, and so the middle name is probably going to be Kate because we have so many close people to us. We feel like, how can we not? But
It's a sign.
open to suggestions. If you guys have suggestions, feel free to pop them in the comments.
Comment down below. How much can you bench, best SBD, and overhead press?
So, bench. We don't do bench as strongman, but it was in our last show. It was like a bench press machine. So I trained bench for about 8 weeks, and I got it to 550. Squat, my best high bar and sleeves is 840. My deadlift is 1,050, and I've push press 520.
That's crazy. Wait, 520 overhead press? Bruh, oh my gosh. Honestly, that's the most impressive, that's the most impressive lift for me. Overhead press, that's crazy. Like, for me, I don't even care about
That's
this.
crazy.
What's your PR on the mile, and what do you think you can do now?
Ooh, best mile time. I would have to sort of estimate, so full disclosure. My best 5K is just over 15 minutes. Say 4.5 minute mile would have been my best.
4.5 minutes.
What do you think you can do now?
What do you think you can do now? Like a little bit
Probably like
around
a,
this?
At least like a 7, right?
7?
7.
Maybe 7?
Yeah, with all the stuff that's got going on.
Yeah, I did a bunch of running with the CrossFitters, and I'm not terrible. I can still go for a jog. If it would have to be flat ground. The big thing with being heavy is as soon as an incline starts, it's like exponentially harder.
Yeah.
So I think flat ground, say like 4 times around the track, 7 minutes is very reasonable.
I don't even know what my mile is. I gotta start running. Tune in. I gotta start running.
That's a good video.
Do you run like sometimes now, or like
No.
it's not your? Oh yeah, because like for
In
strongman.
medleys, yes, like when I'm going back and forth for certain implements, but since it's not something that's a weakness of mine, it's a strength of mine, I don't often train my strengths that hard because they're already there. I just have to bring up everything that's weak and then move them together.
Would you say for strongman, it's more like explosive training, more like, but it's also endurance as well, isn't it?
It's sort of a cool sport because we combine like maximal strength with power and explosiveness, with some endurance and agility. You really can't overdevelop one quality. So since I started from such an aerobic base, I had to work on my static strength a lot to be able to get up, and my explosiveness and power has always been good. And so that's why I think I've become the best in the world.
Deadlift world record? Question mark?
Probably not, no, because if you think about the return for doing that, I would have to sacrifice. This is where you have to overdevelop strength relative to everything else. So you would probably take yourself out of the running of Worlds and the Arnold, and probably our 2 other big shows of the year for a 12-month calendar to be able to prepare for one lift. In that process, you could get hurt or just have a bad day or just not feel right, and then you've sacrificed a whole year of your career for something where even if you did it, I don't think the payoff would match the sacrifice.
How long did it take you to get to your current deadlift? Like just
1,050?
Did you practice it, or was it just like casual?
No, it was for a competition. It was during COVID, and there was no competitions other than virtual shows. So this is a circumstance where it made a lot of sense to sacrifice time, because I wasn't sacrificing any performance in any show, and the only ones they did were online, and online you could do only static lifts. So it was only static lifts, and so I trained for 6 months, and my deadlift went from 900 pounds to 1,050.
In 6 months?
In 6 months, but that's a complete anomaly that no one should really aspire to do. I'm just very lucky genetically to be able to do that.
Like percentage-wise, your hard work or your genetics combined, would you say more?
Hard work can only expose genetics. So I don't
like 60% your genetics?
I don't see it as a percent. I just see it as your genetic limit is your genetic limit, and your hard work exposes that. So I don't think there's a percent contribution from each. I mean, to be world's strongest man, you need 100% genetics and 100% hard work. If you only have 80% of the genetics of me, you can only get to 80% of the results, and that's 100% hard work. So I don't see it as a percentage basis. I just see your genetics as whatever your ceiling's going to be, and you never really know what that's going to be until you work hard enough to know. And to be honest, I don't think I'm there.
Can you ice skate?
Yeah.
I just made an ice skating video, and I think I'm okay for a beginner, but I think it'd be hilarious, like so interesting to see ice skate.
He's Canadian. He grew up ice skating.
Yeah, I played hockey for 10 years. Yeah, I can ice skate, no problem.
Something that you're most proud of.
I think for me, the hardest thing I've ever done is losing 115 pounds into a bodybuilding show. Like I went from my size now to 195 pounds in 16 months. As a kid,
bodybuilding?
So as a kid, hockey for 10 years. And like we'll just go rep level, baseball, basketball, swimming, golf. Then in high school, American football into college, track and fields. I did volleyball. Then after school, I did marathons, bodybuilding, powerlifting, strongman.
Man, that's a lot. You're a definition of athlete, bro. How do I talk to women? How do you talk to the ladies?
I think my special talent, actually, to Ashley's demise is talking to females. First dating I'm a savant at first dates, and I think the biggest thing, if you know a girl who's trying to see people, it is incredible how strange the average man is. And if you're generally normal and generally interested in them, it's like absolutely an absolute anomaly. So I would say to the guys out there, think of the hottest girl that you know and look at her boyfriend and tell me you think he's good enough looking to be with her. And I guarantee you he's not. And it's because you sell yourself short that behaving as a normal person who generally cares about someone else can get you a 10 out of 10 girlfriend. Thankfully, I've got my wife, so we're all good. I'll leave the rest for you guys, but that would be my advice. Be normal. Be normal and be interested in them.
Man, that's a good advice, man. Thank you, Mitchell. Very glad to have you. Check out our other videos that I have with him up somewhere around here. And thank you guys for watching. Peace out.